Something is wrong. You can feel it in the air. A quiet unease has settled over circles that handle our nation's deepest secrets. It began subtly, like a shift in the wind before a storm. A name would disappear from a roster. A phone call would go unanswered. A desk, once occupied by a brilliant mind, would sit cold and empty. Between the summer of 2024 and the early months of 2026, a disturbing pattern began to take shape. Elite scientists started to vanish, the very people entrusted with America's technological edge. They were not just any researchers. They were the vanguard, working on projects that define the future of defense, working on projects that define the future of exploration. The disappearances were not loud. They were quiet. Too quiet. Each case felt like a stone dropped into a deep, dark well, the ripples spreading out in silence. The individuals were connected to some of the most advanced research facilities in the country. Los Alamos National Laboratory appeared again and again, experts in stealth technology, the architects of invisibility. These were not people who simply walked away. They were dedicated, vetted, deeply integrated into the national security apparatus. Their sudden absence creates a void in their labs and in our sense of safety. This series of events is more than a simple collection of missing persons cases. It feels coordinated. It feels intentional. The circumstances surrounding each disappearance are laced with an unnerving strangeness. Frank Mywald, a NASA scientist from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, passed away on July 4, 2024. No cause of death was ever disclosed. No autopsy was performed. Then, nearly a year later, Anthony Chavez, with his history at Los Alamos, vanished without a trace. His car was found, but he was gone. The pattern was starting to become impossible to ignore, a chilling drumbeat of loss and mystery that echoed through the high-stakes world of defense research. The silence from official channels has been deafening. As reports trickled out from local news and specialized online forums, a narrative began to form. It's a story of shadows and whispers, of brilliant minds extinguished or spirited away. This is not a tale of random misfortune. The precision and the profile of the targets suggest something far more calculated. The question is not just what happened to these scientists. The real question, the one that keeps people awake at night, is who is behind it and why. The silence from those in power only deepens the growing dread, leaving us to wonder what secrets vanished along with them. The disappearances share an eerie signature, a methodical consistency that chills the bone. Take the case of Melissa Casillas, another mind connected to the sensitive work at Los Alamos National Laboratory. She vanished in June of 2025, under circumstances that were almost a carbon copy of Anthony Chavez's disappearance just a month earlier. Her personal effects were left behind, as if she had just stepped out for a moment and never returned. Extensive searches were launched. Helicopters scanned the vast New Mexico landscape. Search parties combed the desert terrain. They found nothing, no note, no trail, no body. It was as if she had been erased from existence. This pattern repeated itself. A researcher named McCasland, last seen on February 27, 2026, also disappeared in the same haunting manner. The details are stark and unnerving. In case after case, we see the same elements: a sudden and inexplicable absence, personal belongings untouched, and exhaustive official searches that turn up absolutely zero evidence of what transpired. This is not how people typically go missing. The lack of any forensic trail, the absence of any struggle or message, points toward a level of planning and execution that is far beyond the scope of a simple accident or a personal crisis. It suggests a professional, almost surgical, removal. The list of names, often cited as the missing 8, has been compiled by various outlets, tabloids, more serious partisan investigators. While the exact number fluctuates between 6 and 8, depending on the source, the core group of cases remains consistent. These individuals were not just colleagues in the broader scientific community. Many worked in fields that were closely intertwined. Advanced propulsion stealth materials, secure communications. Their work formed the bedrock of next-generation defense systems. Losing one such mind is a blow. Losing a string of them in this manner feels like a targeted attack on the nation's intellectual capital. Fact-checking organizations have approached the story with caution. An analysis by Factually.co confirmed that the reports document a series of unsettling coincidences. However, they also noted that the evidence available in the public domain does not definitively prove a coordinated campaign of killings or abductions. This is the tightrope we walk. On one side, we have a pattern so strong it defies coincidence. On the other, we lack the official confirmation or hard evidence to call it a conspiracy. But as Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett stated, "Something dark is going on. I think we'd better be paying attention, and I don't think we should trust our government." Amid the storm of speculation and fear, a single name has surfaced in the deep corners of the internet: Project Aether. This phrase is spoken in hushed tones in online forums and whispered by anonymous sources who claim to have inside knowledge. The theory is that this code name represents a top-secret, deeply classified defense program that connects all the missing scientists. It is said to be a project focused on revolutionary stealth technology, perhaps something beyond our current understanding of physics. The narrative suggests that the scientists who vanished were the core architects of Project Aether, and their disappearance is directly linked to their work on it. The allure of a secret project is powerful. It offers a single, unifying explanation for an otherwise chaotic series of events. If Project Aether exists, and if it is as critical as the rumors suggest, then the stakes are astronomically high. The scientists would not just be valuable, they would be irreplaceable, living repositories of secrets that could shift the global balance of power. Their disappearance would then be seen not as a random tragedy, but as a strategic move in a clandestine war. However, when we turn from the world of whispers to the world of documented facts, the trail goes cold. Extensive searches of public records and declassified archives have yielded no official mention of a defense program named Project Aether. Capital Tech, a publication that tracks technology and government, found no connection. The only verifiable Project Aether they could find was a student-led mission selected for a rocket launch in Norway. Its purpose was to study the aurora borealis and test a new insulation system. This is a far cry from a multi-billion-dollar black-budget program focused on next-generation stealth. This lack of evidence leaves us at a crossroads. Is Project Aether a complete fabrication, a piece of digital folklore created to make sense of the senseless? Or is it so deeply classified that its existence has been scrubbed from every accessible record? A true black project operating in the deepest shadows of the military-industrial complex? The absence of proof is not proof of absence. For a program designed to create ultimate stealth, it is logical that the program itself would be invisible. The first and most straightforward theory is that of foreign espionage. This theory posits that a rival nation-state targeted these scientists for their knowledge. In the high-stakes game of global power, technological superiority is paramount. A country that can master true stealth, develop a revolutionary energy source, can dictate the terms of any conflict. The scientists who vanished were experts in precisely these fields. They represented a treasure trove of intellectual property, and it is logical that foreign intelligence agencies would have them on their radar. The goal could have been twofold: to acquire their expertise for their own programs, to deny that same expertise to the United States. The methods of espionage are varied and ruthless. They can range from recruitment, bribery, coercion, abduction, assassination. A foreign power with a sophisticated intelligence service could certainly possess the capability to execute such operations with minimal trace. The disappearances, marked by their clean and professional nature, fit the profile of a state-sponsored action. Supporters of this theory point to the geopolitical climate, which has grown increasingly tense. Nations are openly competing for technological dominance, and the history of espionage is filled with examples of scientists being targeted from the Cold War to the present day. The evidence supporting this theory is largely circumstantial, but compelling. The selection of targets is not random, it is highly specific, focusing on individuals with access to sensitive information and access to valuable information. The pattern of disappearances across different locations, New Mexico, California, suggests an operation with national reach. something a well-funded foreign agency could orchestrate. The fact that no bodies have been recovered in several cases also lends credence to the idea of abduction. A foreign power would have a strong motive to keep the scientists alive, putting them to work in secret labs deep within their own borders. A darker, more unsettling theory suggests the threat is not external, but internal. This line of thinking posits the scientists were eliminated or disappeared by a faction within the US government or by a powerful private contractor. The motive? To prevent a leak of catastrophic proportions. If these scientists were working on technology so advanced and dangerous that its exposure could destabilize the world, then extreme measures might be taken to ensure its secrecy. Perhaps one was planning to become a whistleblower. Perhaps one was deemed a security risk. In the cold calculus of national security, the lives of a few might be sacrificed. This theory gains traction from the sheer efficiency of the disappearances. Who better to make someone vanish without a trace than covert operators? An internal group would have access to surveillance data, psychological profiles, and logistical capabilities. They could manipulate records, control search areas, and suppress media coverage. There is a third possibility, one that shifts the agency from the captors to the captives themselves. This theory suggests the scientists were not taken against their will, but that they chose to leave. It proposes an organized defection, a coordinated plan for these brilliant minds to disappear and resurface elsewhere. Their motive could be ideological, financial, a matter of self-preservation. Perhaps a foreign government or a powerful corporation made them an offer they could not refuse. A new life, unlimited resources, freedom from their government constraints. Or perhaps they feared for their safety and orchestrated their own escape. This theory aligns with some peculiar details of the cases. A planned disappearance would explain why personal effects were left behind. It creates the illusion of an abduction or sudden departure. It would also explain why no bodies have been found. When we strip away the theories and look only at the verifiable facts, we are left standing before a formidable wall of uncertainty. The truth is, we do not have a complete picture. We have fragments, pieces of a puzzle that refuse to fit together into a coherent whole. We have confirmed that a number of scientists connected by their work in sensitive fields at high-security facilities like Los Alamos have died under mysterious circumstances or vanished entirely between 2024 and 2026. This much is documented in various reports and acknowledged by concerned public figures. This pattern is real and it is disturbing. The problem lies in the connective tissue. The links between the cases are based on coincidence and pattern recognition, not on direct evidence. Fact-checking organizations have rightly pointed out many reports rely on compilations from partisan sources or tabloid sources, which can mix credible information with unverified claims. For example, the death of Frank Mywald at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory is often cited. The lack of an autopsy and an official cause of death, while suspicious, is not definitive proof of foul play. Each case has its own ambiguities, and lumping them together under one grand conspiracy requires a leap of faith investigators are not yet willing to take. The Project Aether connection, which seems to offer a simple explanation, evaporates under scrutiny. In the face of such profound uncertainty, inaction is not an option. The disappearance of even one scientist working on vital national security projects is a matter of grave concern. The disappearance of a group of them is a crisis that demands a response. This is a moment for clear, persistent, and public calls for accountability. The families of the missing deserve answers. The scientific community deserves to know if its members are being targeted. The American public deserves to know if its safety and security have been compromised by forces unknown, whether foreign or domestic. We must move from whispered speculation to open inquiry. The first step is to demand transparency from the agencies tasked with our protection. The FBI, the Department of Defense. We stand at the edge of a great mystery. Empty labs, dark corridors, missing faces. The numbers don't lie. 8 brilliant minds, guardians of our nation's most advanced secrets. They have been erased from the board. We are left with the echoes of their absence. A handful of theories casts a long, ominous shadow. Foreign adversary, A brazen intelligence operation on U.S. soil. Internal cleanup. A desperate measure to bury a secret. Coordinated defection. A planned escape to a new allegiance. Each path leads to a different, unsettling conclusion. If espionage, our defenses have been breached. If internal action, a dangerous power operates unchecked. If defection, we failed those we entrusted. None of these possibilities are comforting. The pattern is too strong. The targets are too specific. The silence is too deep for coincidence. The truth is out there, but it's buried beneath classification, beneath secrecy, beneath fear. It may not be in an official report or a press conference. It may only surface through persistent investigation. The narrative is incomplete, and that's where you come in. Public conversation is powerful. Discuss the facts. Share credible information. Demand action. Keep the spotlight until the shadows recede. Don't let these names be forgotten. Don't let their stories fade into obscurity. The final question is left to you. Look at the pattern. Consider the theories. Weigh the scarce evidence against the silence. What happened to these 8 scientists? Foreign espionage, internal cleanup, organized defection, or another theory we haven't seen? Share your thoughts. Discuss your reasoning. Ask elected officials for a full, transparent investigation. We owe it to the missing. We owe it to their families. We owe it to ourselves to find the truth. A mystery of this magnitude cannot remain unsolved forever.